from WBBZ-TV Sports. It's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
From Transit Lanes in Williamsville, New York, welcome to Beat the Champ. Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Peck. Along with Hall of Fame bowler Sue Novoitsky, our traveling bowling roadshow has taken us to one of the more prominent bowling alleys in Western New York, Sue, and that will add a level to our competition today.
Yes, this place is beautiful. This place is big. A lot of bowlers bowl here, and we have a great audience today to cheer on our bowlers.
And we've got some great bowlers. We've got John Palmer coming back from his win last week, a classic Buffalo regular guy bowler, but if he wants to keep winning, he's got to go through some very prominent Western New York bowlers, including a pair of Open-Hour Masters champions.
That's right. They're not going to let him off easy today. He's going to have to work really hard.
Mike Zarcone will be first up, Matt Zasowski second, and then Tony Dolan, who has won already 4 times here on Beat the Champ, will end up our day to see if he can't keep his winning going. We know how good Tony is.
That's right. We hope to see him start his streak back up again,
All
or
right.
somebody else might do it.
So a lot of challenges for John Palmer, but that should make for a wonderful day of bowling here at Transit Lanes. We're going to get it started. Palmer versus Mike Zarcone. It is coming up next. Our returning Beat the Champ winner, John Palmer on the left and Mike Zarcone on the right, will be our first match of the day here at Transit Lanes in Williamsville. Zarcone making his second appearance on Beat the Champ. 0-1, lost to Gary Kenyon back on our first series of shows up at the Rapids Bowling Center. And of course, Sue, Mike is one of the more prominent bowlers here in Western New York.
Yeah, Mike is very consistent. Mike strikes a lot. I was watching them warm up a little bit. Looks like playing between about the second arrow, a little bit to the left of the second arrow. So I'm kind of watching these guys warm up a little bit, and Mike's got a nice shot to the pocket.
John has chosen to let Mike start first. John goes second. Explain to everybody the decision that the returning champ gets to make there.
The returning champ gets to decide whether he wants to sit on the bench and let Mike finish the match, or whether he wants to be the one to get up and dictate how it ends up.
Tough first throw there for John Palmer as he kind of split it right down the middle and left a lot of pins. John is 41 years old from Cheektowaga, New York, our returning winner from last week's show where he beat Jeff Dio in the final match of that show to come back here and bowl again, and big challenge here in the first frame. So it'll be an open frame in the first.
Not quite how we wanted to start this match.
No, not at all. And we mentioned John is a classic Buffalo bowler in the sense that he's just a regular guy who works a regular job, who loves to bowl amongst other things that are involved in his life. Not to sell John in any way short, but compared to the Tony Dolans and the Mike Zarcones who are a different level of Buffalo bowlers. Right.
We see Mike Zarcone at every tournament that goes on around the area. He bowls competitively very, very often, and really bowling is a big part of his life. And John here has a lot of things going on. Yep.
Bowls, it sounds funny to say John only bowls one night a week in a traveling series. Matter of fact, he bowls with Tony Dolan and Mike Zarcone on a regular basis, but it's somewhat odd to see one of our bowlers who isn't bowling 3 or 4 nights a week.
That's true, but it's nice to see him out here as well.
Yes, it is, and I will tell you a little more about some of the other things that John's got going on in his life as well, too, but Mike is one of those guys. Monday night bowler at Classic Lanes, Wednesdays at Airport Lanes, travel leagues on Saturdays, and again, he's been bowling for well over 40 years. Just can't get that one pin to fall for back-to-back strikes, so Mike already putting the early heat on John Palmer.
That ball came up just a little bit light for him. He missed his target just a hair to the right, which on this lane condition you can do, but it came up just a little bit lighter than he would have liked it to. He would prefer it a little bit more higher flush.
2014 Open-Hour Masters champion is Mike Zarcone as he finishes off the spare here in the second. And for those of you that might not be familiar, when you're the Open-Hour Masters champion in this town, you are the king that wears the crown. Is it correct?
That's right. That's the biggest tournament Buffalo has to offer.
It is a 16-pin lead right now for Mike Zarcone as we are early as he moves to the third frame here in our first match of the day at Transit Lanes in Williamsville. So obviously when you're the Open Hour Masters champion, you've got to do a lot of work and you've got to be one heck of a bowler, and Mike certainly is.
Yep, when you're bowling different squads like that, because that tournament has you bowl on fresh oil and you bowl on lanes that have already been bowled on, so you have to be quick to adjust, and we're going to have to see Mike adjust a little bit on the left lane here. It's a little tighter than the right lane.
Now, tell me what an adjustment would be as Mike tries to pull off the spare, and does here in the third frame.
He's going to have to move everything just a little bit right. I watched him in practice, and I did think that this lane was a little bit tighter, and then judging by his ball reaction there, he's definitely going to have to make a little bit of a move to the right.
So now we come back to John Palmer, who had that unfortunate open frame where he only had 7 pins on his first frame of the day. And just not finding the groove yet for John Palmer. We mentioned 41 years old from Cheektowaga, New York. A trailer repairman is his regular job, but he's very heavily involved as a volunteer firefighter. He's an auto racer in the summer, in addition to being one heck of a bowler. But we said there's a lot of things going on in John's life, which just makes him a classic Buffalo guy.
That's right. That's a busy schedule right there. Well, he's glad to get that spare done.
Yeah, and a little sigh of relief you could see there, and a little deep breath there that, okay, found my groove a little bit. As I mentioned, part of the Ucrest Volunteer Fire Department in Cheektowaga, formerly the assistant chief there, so very involved in there. Races cars at Holland Speedway during the summer and winter and nicer weather here. That isn't that far off. Just didn't seem to have the rotation and the power as that ball turned in.
He lost that ball a little bit to the left. His target is definitely right of where he hit. That one kind of slipped off his hands, went to the right.
You almost
didn't recover.
See him talking to himself a little bit there a moment ago, trying to find the groove here. Almost got that to kick back.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
And it looks to me like the left lane's even tighter on the left side, because he's got to have the projection more left
lefty
to
right.
right.
Obviously, you've noticed lefty versus righty here, as John is a lefty. Just didn't make that right hand hook, did it?
The shot before on this lane, when he hit the pocket, he definitely pulled it in, and you have to get the projection going towards the head pin. It's definitely tighter on this side.
John got hooked on the sport of bowling, hanging out with his dad, going to the lanes, watching his dad bowl, but he was actually late to the game. Didn't start bowling until he was 17 years old, but so he's been bowling for a little shy of 25 years now, as we mentioned, at least one night a week, sometimes a little more. 31 career 300 games, but how about this guy? Mike Zarcone has 83 career 300 games. And how many is that for you now that you put one on the board here at Transit earlier in the week?
Jeez, I think that was 17.
We talked about this. You're supposed to know your numbers there, aren't you?
I am supposed to know.
You had a
numbers.
299 and a 300 game a little earlier this week here?
They were 2 weeks apart. They were a week apart. So 300 next 1 week and then 299 the next.
So when Sue talks about knowing the lane conditions here, that you can believe her. Another good, solid spare there by Mike Zarcone.
Yeah, I'm pretty used to the characteristics of these lanes. Like right now, they're getting a little bit of carry down, like this on the right-hand side here.
Right.
As they bowl on it, the oil will carry down a little bit, and you'll see a little bit of a delay in the hook. So that's part of the adjustment process here as well.
So Mike moves over to that tough 11th lane, and it continues to be tough as he leaves 3 pins on the right-hand side.
It does. They're fishing around a little bit, trying to figure this left lane out. But one of the things in bowling we like to do is we like to keep the pocket. And that is, if you're hitting the pocket, you want to make small little adjustments, like moving your eyes in, something like that. That's a small adjustment you would make to not have to change balls, not have to do anything drastic, especially in a one-game match. He's got a good, healthy lead here, so he could be looking towards what he's going to do going forward to the next match. But you kind of want to keep the pocket, not do anything to lose your shot to the pocket.
3 straight spares after 2 straight strikes. Last 5 frames impressive for Mike Zarcone, and John Palmer keeps putting the heat on him there with a strike in his 9th frame.
That shot just looked a lot more relaxed.
Yep. Yeah, I think a little bit of that. You see the look on his face. He may be feeling better and may be more relaxed, but he knows he's probably in too big a hole to climb out of right now.
Well, you'd be surprised how much easier it gets to strike when the pressure starts coming off.
I guess that's to be understood.
Again, this lane.
Right. We want to talk a little bit about the qualifiers coming up for our next series of Beat the Champ events that are going to be at Lucky Lanes in Fredonia. And tell us a little bit about some of the important dates people need to know about.
That's right. We've had a few questions about how it is to qualify for Beat the Champ. And you have to attend one of the qualifiers for the upcoming house. And next month we'll be going to Lucky Lanes, like you said, in Fredonia. And he's going to be holding his qualifiers next weekend, March 12th. It's a Saturday, and he is a qualifier in 3:30 and 5:30. And also on Sunday, March 13th, he's holding squads 12, 2, 4, and then we're going to do the top 24 roll-off at 7 p.m. like we did here this month.
Right.
And so remember, if you go up on March 12th, if you qualify, you're going to have to come back for the 7 p.m. qualifier on Sunday. And then the top 24 compete for 3 more games, drop all pins. They bowl 3 straight games. For the top 9 go on to the show.
More information on the qualifying and always to check on the times and the dates, WBBZ-TV, or for our next series of events, luckylanes.com down in Fredonia.
And don't forget
our Facebook page as well, too.
Right, our Gary Poole's Great Grill giveaway.
Yes, we're going to talk a little more about that as we move through our show. You're going to want to keep watching later on in our show because we've got a wonderful prize to give away to reward all our bowling fans here in Western New York with the Gary Poole's Great Grill giveaway. We'll have more details on that coming up later. So Mike finishes off another spare here, and Mike Zarcone is on his way to his first Beat the Champ victory. This is his second Beat the Champ performance. He was unable to win the first time out, and he's going to get that first win right here. Nothing to be ashamed of. He lost to the great Gary Kenyon in our first series of events up in Niagara Falls. And there's a great way to finish it off for Mike Zarcone. Nice round of applause from the crowd here. And a shake of the hand from John Palmer as Mike Zarcone is going to advance on to our next match, where he is going to take on Matt Zazowski. 200 to 167 is our final score on the board here as Mike Zarcone comes up with a victory. We'll talk to Mike and John and preview our next match when we come back right after this. It's Beat the Champ at Transit Lanes in Williamsville. We're back right after this. Our first match is in the books. It's Mike Zarcone, a 200 to 167 winner over John Palmer. Those 2 open frames, John, and the first 4 kind of put you in a hole, didn't they?
Yeah, he buried me pretty quick, and I just couldn't react to it fast enough, and it was all over before it started.
Right. Sue?
Hi, we're used to pretty high scores here, but I saw that left lane was acting a little funny today for you.
Yeah, it was a little tricky, a little tighter down the lane.
We needed to. I saw you pull out another ball for some adjustment.
Yeah, a little more aggressive ball. Try to get the ball to turn the corner.
Mike, next matchup for you, Matt Zazowski, a guy that you know pretty well. Interesting for you to bowl against a buddy like that?
Oh yeah, it's going to be fun. Maddie's my buddy.
All right, well, let's see. We got a couple of buddies going. We got a couple of guys with the initials of MZ going against each other in our next match. So it's MZ versus MZ here at TL on BTC. Yeah. We're back with the next match right after this. Our next match will feature Zarcone trying to win again against Matt Zazowski there on the left. So this should be another good match between another pair of guys who know each other well, who bowl together often, and who won't be intimidated by one or the other, right?
No, they'll be very comfortable bowling against one another. And Mike's starting out on this tighter lane. Made a little ball change.
Now, what do you think he did for the ball change? And obviously, right off the bat, it worked.
He went to a more aggressive bowling ball, so that would read the lanes a little quicker, and it would have stronger back end.
So that ball, by the nature of the way it's designed, is going to hook more, which we saw in the first match. There just wasn't enough hook for those guys at the end.
Yeah, that ball went a little too straight for what was out there. Went traveled through the oil too much. He needed something to read the lane a little quicker. So
amazing that the ball's technology is to the point now where you can be that infinite with your adjustments. And hey, we're off to a good start on both fronts here. Strikes in the first frames for Mike and Matt. As Mike joked, apparently you needed to have your last name start with Z in order to make the show this week.
Yeah, I said they were both in the same homeroom.
Yeah. What are the odds of a pair of guys whose last names start in Z amongst our 4 bowlers here on the first show here at Transit Lanes? Second match of the day. That's Matt Zasowski taking on Mike Zarcone here at Transit Lanes on Beat the Champ.
Yeah, Matty's a well-seasoned bowler. He's bowled quite a few events. He's actually bowled quite a few PBA events. He was a member for a little while and competed on that level, and he did okay. So he knows how to read the lane. He knows how to pick a bowling ball, and he's lined up here pretty early.
And then we talked about Mike, 48 years old from Tonawanda, a 237 average, and the 2014 Obenauer Masters champion. And along with what we discussed about how prominent that is, it's such a grueling test that I think it teaches you a lot about what kind of a bowler you are in order to make it through a long run of double elimination tournament like the Masters.
Oh, absolutely. Again, it's changing conditions. Changing bowling balls, you got to think fast because you're bowling against somebody else who, may have it figured out faster than you. So it's a lot of work.
So we've got strikes on our first 4 rolls here for each bowler. Let's see if Mike Zarcone can keep that alive. And he does. You thought the scoring was going to be a little higher here at Transit Lanes than we saw in last month's matches up at Kearns Avenue Bowling Center. Why?
This is, again, similar to Rapids, optimal scoring conditions. The state-of-the-art lane machine that we have here it strips, it oils, keeps everything consistent. It sets up great, the best patterns that are playable. Little left to human error, really.
Matt Zazowski, 40 years old from Tonawanda, New York. Full-time job, occupation is a cook. Pretty good bowler so far, too. Strikes all along the way. Bowling for 25 years has Matt Zasowski. He had the number 2 qualifying position. And you see the early score up on the board. There's Janelle Saban, always doing a great job as our scorekeeper. Mike bowls at Kenmore Lanes on Thursdays and then bowls in local touring series over the weekends. And as you mentioned, bowls in some PBA events here and there. 46 career 300 games and a career high series of 847 for Matt Zasowski. And there's our first non-strike of this match. Boy, by the nature of the ball, you can really see the spin that comes off of Matt's hands based on the pattern on the ball. Watch that closely the next time.
Yeah, Matty really does have a lot of revolutions. He throws a pretty strong ball, but again, on this lane, you have to be pretty precise. You need to be very direct to the pocket, or use some of the dry to get some extra back end.
Is more revolution something that you always want, or is it like a fastball pitcher doesn't always know where the ball is going?
No,
throws it hard, but
you adjust to what you have and you use the technology to adjust to your own game.
Mm-hmm.
But the more revolutions you have, you create a little bit more area than somebody else. So you might get a little bit more cheat room than maybe somebody who throws it a little straighter.
Mike Zarcone cannot keep the strike streak alive, and that's about as ugly as the alternative would be the 7-10 split
break
for Mike Zarcone here
that
in the
is
fourth
terrible.
frame.
There is nothing worse than a pocket 7-10.
So let's see.
I've left a couple of those here, too.
I'm sure you have. Let's see if he can't pull it off. 7-10 split. I didn't really try very hard.
Do you know that I've yet to see that made?
Really, ever? In all of your years of bowling, you've never seen it done, huh?
No. Whenever it's been made,
Wow.
I either haven't been looking or I haven't seen it in a PBA telecast. I've never seen it made.
Not to throw a question at you that you may not be able to answer, but what in bowling? What's the percentage of people that can make a 7? How often does it? Is it
it's been
10%?
made
Less than 10% of the time?
Minuscule.
Okay.
Minuscule. And it's just a lucky break. You just got to bounce it. It's just got to bounce exactly perfect. You got to throw it hard, and it's just a lucky bounce.
So Mike Zarcone, by nature of that, leaving the open frame and then not striking here, is down by 13 pins at the moment to Matt and Zazowski. So these guys started off hot with strikes in their first 2 frames, and the lanes have come back to them a little bit now. So Mike winds up with a 5th frame spare. And here's Matt, who struck on the first 3 and then had the spare and frame.
Yeah, for as much as these 2 guys can strike, I mean, even Mike's pocket 710, which is a terrible break, still hit the pocket. So as much as these guys strike, this match is in anybody's hands.
See the turn of the wrist right before. And there's another strike. Matt's on a bit of a roll here.
We're going to be back with more Beat the Champ bowling action in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
So he came back after the 4th and the 5th frames when he left an open and a spare with back-to-back strikes for Mike. So now the pressure goes right back on Matt Zazowski.
And this match is now within 2 pins.
So we're heading down a good finish here with Matt ready to throw in the 7th frame. And that's the way you answer.
And he wasn't happy with that shot. He got that shot a little to the right. But because of the house pattern, the lane condition, which we'll talk about next show, we'll talk about how the lanes are oiled. But because of that, he's able to get it to the right, and the dry boards bring the ball back for him.
So even if you don't throw it exactly where you want to throw it,
if you're lined up in the right spot and you have the right ball in your hand, these patterns are set up so that they have wiggle room to the right and wiggle room to the left. And he missed that one a little bit right. He wasn't that happy with it, but it was good enough to strike.
All right, so now back over to 11. It wouldn't fall. It just wouldn't fall. Don't forget, if you're a bowler out there and you want to be a part of our show, you've got to qualify to make it, and you've got just as good a shot as anybody does out there. Our next set of qualifiers will be March 12th and 13th, and our next series of Beat the Champ shows. And we head down the thruway to Fredonia to Lucky Lanes, and the qualifying has really become a battle of wills as the numbers and the level of bowlers have really started to pick up.
That's right. Last week here we had 202 entries. We had 202 people try out for this show. So it's picking up momentum as it goes.
And don't forget, we want you to stick around because coming up later in the show, our Gary Poole's Great Grill giveaway. You're going to need our Beat the Champ word or catchphrase in order to go to the website of WBBZ.TV and enter, and that will be coming up. And Mike Zarcone may be coming up on another victory as another big strike for Mike here in the 8th frame.
Yeah, that was a big strike. He really needed that one to take a little bit of command back in this match.
It's an 8-pin advantage for Mike right now as he gets set to throw here in frame number 9.
That's right. He can make it 18 with a strike here.
A man of few words, as we saw in our post-match interview. And you see the reaction there, but I was going to say, he is determined and focused, and he is good at what he does. I saw a little emotion right there as he leaves that 10-pin.
Nothing like a ring 10 to stop you in your tracks. A ring 10 is generally a good shot. Just 6 just wraps around the 10.
Why is it called that?
Ring 10 because the 6 rings around the 10 pin. So there's different kinds of 10
I
pins.
love the bowling lingo. I love learning all this bowling lingo. There's a word for everything.
Yep, ring 10. There can be different 10 pins. Like oftentimes I'll have people come and ask me, what do I do? I'm leaving the 10 pin, I'm leaving the 10 pin. And I have to come watch because there's different kinds of 10 pins. There's flat 10 pins and there's ring 10 pins. And ring 10 pins are the result of a very good shot. You really don't want to change much if you're ringing 10s.
Right, and what that tells you, that determines to you what their ball is doing and why it may be left.
What I would recommend would be different based on the 10 pin that they're leaving. It seems like it would be just a simple answer, but it's not.
And a late fall on this 7 pin gives Matt a big strike here in the 10th frame. He needed that.
Oh, that was
one.
the 9th frame. So
Ninth frame,
that's the builder frame. The 9th frame is the builder frame. Those
See, more lingo.
Yep, that's the frame.
I'm gonna make us a list that we're gonna put on the website at some point with all
that's
of
funny.
the bowling lingo. Right? Somebody is gonna start keeping track of this.
But we were always told.
Honestly, I want to have a list of this so I can start dropping some of this on you. You know, I want to start dropping a few ring 10s on you every once in a while. But I got to have a list of knowing what we're talking about here.
Oh, now he slapped that 10 out. Did you see that?
See, he slapped the 10. See, that's a slap 10. A ring 10, a slap 10.
That's when the 6 comes underneath it and chops it out.
All right, that's it. That's our duty for our next set of shows down in Fredonia. We're going to have a glossary list of Sue's bowling terms.
The next time
available.
we see a 10 pin, I want you to tell me what kind of 10 pin that was.
Oh, see, now you're going to quiz me on this stuff now, huh? We're still tight here. A 3-pin advantage now for Matt. We're going to come right down to the end of this one. And he is doing what he needs to do. Matt Zasowski with a big strike right there.
That's right. He could, if he strikes out, he actually shuts Mike out.
Okay.
So, looks to me like 7 to tie, 7 to create a tie situation.
Okay.
Strike.
So, if Mike throws 3 more strikes here, I'm sorry, if Matt throws 3 more.
Well, he's actually
one more strike.
One more strike. So
one more strike.
He actually would be 7. Would force. The least he could do would tie. So more than 7 is a win. That's a winner.
He won't get it. That's a winner.
That's a winner.
That's a winner. So Matt Zazowski is going to advance on. Mike Zarcone will continue to bowl out here, but once again, the high level of competition of the bowlers here means it's been hard for anybody to put a string of wins together, and that is not going to happen here from Mike Zarcone. And I think that really is an ultimate tribute to how good the bowlers are in Western New York.
They both bowled a great match here. This really came down to a pocket hit, pocket 7-10. Made all the difference for Mike.
Pocket 7-10. We're going to have like a something that flashes on the screen when you drop these things on us. Now, all that said about the sheer level of competition that it's been hard to put wins together, our next match for Matt Zazowski is going to be the only guy that has won more than twice so far on Beat the Champ, and that's Tony Dolan. He has 4 wins total in the last month of events. So it's a final score on the board, a 237 to 229 tight victory. 225 rather. 225 tight victory for Matt Zazowski over Mike Zarcone. We'll speak to Matt and Mike and get the lowdown from the MZs here at Transit Lanes when we come back on Beat the Champ. Matt Zazowski will advance on to take on Tony Dolan. We'll talk about that when we come back. We're back at Transit Lanes following our second match of the day, a narrow 12-pin win for Matt Zazowski over Mike Zarcone. It was tight all the way. You finished strong. Was that the key, Matt?
Yeah, just trying to stay out of trouble and throwing 3 good ones in a 10th and try to get lucky enough to strike and try to get away with victory.
Right.
Good ball adjustment there. I see you made the right choice with the bowling ball, but that pocket 7-10 really cost you.
Yeah, that was a killer. It was a bad break.
It was a good shot, though, it seemed.
Yeah, a little bit inside of my target, but could have struck.
All right, so next up for you, Matt, maybe the hottest bowler in Western New York right now, Tony Dolan, the defending Open Hour Masters champion. He's had success on Beat the Champ. What are you thinking of going into a match against Tony?
Just trying to bowl my match and try to bowl the best I can and see what happens.
All right, well, there you go. He's got some confidence. He's ready to go. It's Matt Zasowski and Tony Dolan when we come back to Transit Lanes right here on Beat the Champ.